Yeah. Right, okay, so we've got our camera trap all ready to go, and we've got a lovely volunteer to come and help. And we've also got this ideal place we can see where the vegetation's all being rubbed away. We know that there's definitely something going up and down there, whether or not it's dogs or otters, but I can guarantee that there would have been an otter up there at some point because the habitat's ideal. And we've got otter records and just about half a mile down the road and from here, and we've got otter records down at Roden village itself where there's actually a population of otters that have been breeding. So those otters could quite easily come up to this territory. They quite often go along a 50-kilometre stretch of river, so there could be otters all over the place, but there could just be otters kind of walking or swimming past each other constantly. But that's where the camera trap comes in useful. So if you wanted to come and walk very carefully down here, and otters don't care if they're getting out of the water somewhere that's particularly precarious to humans. In fact, they're going to look for somewhere that's more and more difficult for humans or anybody else anything else to get down to disturb. And this is why there's a slight danger of slipping into the brook, but I'm sure we should be okay. And what you can do is put that as low down the tree as possible.
Okay, so near the floor. Near the floor?
So I'd say about that height should be good. You may have to pass one side round to me and then I'll see if that fits.
About there?
Yeah, that should be ideal.
Okay.
And then this is a slightly bigger tree than I normally go for. So you can never plan where a mammal's going to come out, but we can increase the possibilities of getting an otter by just making sure it's pointing right down on the slide. Eliza's actually stood just on the top of the slide there, so if anything comes through, there's no need to even bait because otters are naturally inquisitive. If they've used a slide and there's any sign of anything else coming by, if it's been a dog or anything else that's left prints or scents, the otter will come by and investigate. So again, we should hopefully get that on camera. What I'd also be tempted to do if I was due to be leaving it here overnight is you can just take anything like this, just a bit of grass, and pretty much just shove it in all around there, just to make sure it's a bit more camouflage. And unless people are looking for the camera, they tend to not really notice these. But then I've told you I have a few near misses, and I'm particularly paranoid about getting them stolen. What I'd also do is I'm going to be really kind and ask Eliza to also just flatten some of the grass down there.
Yeah.
So I've mentioned before that the last thing you want as well is something else triggering the camera trap. And there's a lot of leaves, there's potentially grass blowing around if the wind picks up. That'll all set the camera trap off, and you potentially have hours of footage of cameras, bits like leaves and grass blowing in front of the camera. Just make sure Eliza doesn't disappear down the bank at this point.
Bye.
I don't always get people to do my dirty work for me. Once you've got it set up on the tree, you can see it's quite simple. We've got a screen, so what we can do is do a few seconds of recording by turning it to on, which is just a case of flicking it to the highest position on there. Then turn it off again after about 30 seconds and just checking to make sure that it's being positioned okay. But you can generally get a good rule for me to suggest, is something that I've started doing lately, is by putting something on top. So I know that's not exactly straight, but it gives you a general idea, and what you can do is just lie something across, and you can see wherever the stick's pointing, that's going to be the direction that the camera's pointing in. So rather than spend time attempting to set it up perfectly and then keep going back to check, you can also get it set up perfectly, then go to close it and then suddenly it falls because something behind has come loose or something, and then you have to start the whole process again. So yeah, I'd recommend just using this straight stick or something. Just try and point it as far down as possible. It's all set to go. We've said it's a record for 10 seconds as I mentioned, and it's on high sensitivity, so even something like a mouse or a vole could trigger it. And then, as I say, it's just as simple as switching it to on, as I'm doing as a demonstration now, and then hopefully you can see a red light flashing there. That red light is the indicator light to show that the mechanism started to work, and that as soon as that's finished, that should then be triggered by any kind of movements in front of the camera. So if everybody waves now, hopefully you should now be triggering the camera. And you all said that you were going to be happy on unless we get something particularly rare from this camera shot, Midlands today won't have any interest, but they are quite interested in seeing some of the rarer otter behaviour, so there's always a chance that we could get some of the footage on Springwatch or Midlands today.